Hot rodding is about connecting with the past, reliving good times, and making new memories, which is why it's best enjoyed with family and friends. The Rodfather Tour is full of folks that have great stories about how hot rodding has brought their families closer together. And unlike football or hockey, as long as you can steer, shift, and hammer the gas, you can hot rod at any age. The Museum of American Speed not only relishes the past, but provides physical examples of the technology, culture, and innovation that have shaped hot rodding today. Speedy Bill Smith, founder of Speedway Motors, raised 4 boys whose childhood memories started at the track, and by passing on his experiences while spending time with his family, has created a legendary enterprise. You know, what do you guys want to see this building teach, young people or old that come in and see it?
It's to the point now where it truly is an educational experience when you come through this museum.
You gain an appreciation of the past against what time is today. It's not the written word, it is truly a physical example that people can see what things were at that point in time.
You talk about using the written word in a book versus having physical examples here of all of the growth in the racing industry, design and engineering and all those things. But how important is it for you to pass the stories and the things that you've learned on through your boys, verbally, telling them all the stories? Just like all the hot rodders that are here are telling their boys about a road trip they did back in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s.
That's very, very important, or we wouldn't be here today. It's that simple.
And the challenge for all of us is how do we inspire current teens? It's how do you get them into the garage to work with Dad and to work on projects? Jason and I have done that. We've got girls, and so we have our girls racing soapbox derby, so they can have that experience at a young age. They're young girls at this point in time, but it's been a great experience for them and for us.
Some of my earliest memories are sitting in the grandstand at Eagle Raceway, watching his car race.
Steve Mole and son David are another family who are carrying on the tradition of hot rodding. Their business, Mole Coachworks, is where both learned about hot rods, life, and hard work. Your father was a car builder before you, isn't that correct?
That's correct, yeah, and his father before him.
Wow.
So David here is 4th generation in the Mole family Coachworks.
What do you think of that, David, as far as having this 3 generations before you building cars? What kind of pressure or does that put on you?
It's not really pressure. It's kind of, you're born into it, so it's just kind of natural. You don't really think about it. But
on a road trip like this, is it better for you because you get to do it with your boy?
Absolutely. That's very special. I always tell people when you're driving your hot rod, time doesn't count. If you drive it all the time, you'll live forever. So this is even better. So if you drive your hot rod with your son, I think you get double points.
I would agree with you. And how about you, David?
Oh, it's great. It's great. And I haven't been in cross country, so that's even better.
Family time in a hot rod, cruising cross country, is the ultimate. And Gary and Mark Meadors, the Goodguys themselves, have made it a career. Here on the Rodfather Tour, we have multiple generations of folks that are here, and that's something that you guys see a lot at your shows and all the Goodguys shows. But what's it like for the 2 of you to do a road trip like this together?
Well, from my standpoint, it's pretty cool because I got somebody to tell stories to.
Yeah,
and exactly. I got to remind him about when, he was with us on one of our first trips back in the, when was that, mid-70s,
yeah,
I guess?
The 70s, yeah.
We went to the Canadian Street Rod Nationals in my 32.
Yeah.
All 4 of us, me and Marilyn and the 2 boys in the back seat.
Yep.
And we spent a little over 3 weeks in that baby.
Oh, yeah.
And now people don't want to drive across country in a motorhome. We're so spoiled, it's horrible.
Yeah.
What is it like for you guys to see the other fathers and sons or fathers and daughters that are on a trip like this?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I mean, it's a great bonding session. You get to hang out with all different kinds of people and just have a good time and no worries.
at a regular Good Guys show and you see the family walking through and you got a mom holding the little boy's hand or dad holding his little girl's hand and going through. What's that like for you guys to see that?
I tend to judge our events by the number of baby carriages I see being pushed around, because in my opinion, those are the dreamers. That's the young guy who maybe doesn't have the bucks right now to have a cool car or whatever, but at some place, sometime, he's gonna, and he's pushing his kid, because that's his first major thing, is he's got to support the baby and the wife there. And you know, as soon as he gets a little better job or another couple pay raises or whatever, he's gonna go get him something that he can start working on. And so hopefully that dream of his, looking around and seeing all this stuff at a Good Guys event, gets him excited and keeps him on that road.
Yeah. The youth is what I like, and the family. If you can get the family involved, you're going to have a lot more support down the road.
Right.
You know, if it's just your deal and your car thing, and the wife and the kid aren't into it, it's not going to last long.
That's true.
So the family aspect's big, and that's why our events are family friendly. You know, we don't do bikini contests, we don't do any of that stuff. We're just car guys having a good, clean fun with cars. So.
Ted Stevens Jr. and his dad Ted Sr. are making every moment count by taking road trips together, because nothing's worse than missed opportunities. And what do you think when your old man told you, hey, we're going on another trip with Brizio?
Hey, my dad's going to be turning 80, so.
Just like Andy, that's cool.
Yeah, we're 4 months apart. That's
So you don't get a chance, you know, these opportunities don't run around that often. So when he said we're going, we drop everything and say, absolutely, I'm there. You could give me a expense paid around the world trip to, you know, with all the 5-star restaurants in the world, or this with the guys and the camaraderie. I mean, this stuff isn't about the cars necessarily, it's more about the people and the places and the camaraderie. And
so what does it mean then to have your boy come with you? I mean,
It means a bunch. How do I put that into words or in perspective? I mean, we've had a great time. I'd won a trip to Italy through Honda, and I turned the trip down and gave it to my daughter to be with my son to come down this. I'd rather be doing this.
it's hard to put into words because it's just your dad.
Yeah.
And we both enjoy cars, so when you get to do that stuff together, you know, your lives kind of grow separate in different parallels. So when you get to go back to our roots, I guess, per se, and do both what we like to do and spend time together, instead of separating, we're kind of growing back apart.
Yeah.
So it's just been great. I mean, again, the people are fantastic, the cars are fantastic, you get to see the countryside. I couldn't ask for a better time.
Despite not being a die-hard hot rodder like his dad Bill, Mark Reis appreciates the passion and craftsmanship that goes into hot rods. Spending time on the road together keeps them close and creates memories only a road trip can provide. Now, how about you, Mark? Are you the die-hard hot rodder like your old man is?
Not exactly. I definitely appreciate it. It's basically an art form as I see it. These guys' cars are just really amazing. It means a lot to my dad. I mean, the cars themselves are, you know, his passion. And we try to get together as much as we can, and we do often. I live fairly close to my dad, so we see each other a lot. But this is a really special trip for him, and I'm really happy to be here.
It's a treat.
Yeah.
Great treat.
It's like you guys get to share.
Getting back together, yeah.
Families that hot rod together stay together, and the Brizio clan may be the ultimate example of hot rodding spirit. The Brizio family, you guys showed up in force. There's more of you than anybody else. And is that just so that you guys can support the old man?
They're watching out for me.
They're
making
watching
sure
out
he's
for you.
taking his pills.
Take my pills every day.
And he's not drinking too much at the bar.
Yeah.
Strict
And we didn't want
orders.
to miss it.
Yeah,
And you wouldn't miss it. Yeah. Now,
he said he's going to do this, like, you know, once. This is his last trip. He said it about 10 times.
yeah,
So we have to come every time he says he's going to do this.
There's
last
always
trip.
a final.
But
I gotcha.
you never know when the final's really going to be here, so we have to be there for the final.
Final.
Well, yeah, because when we talked to him the other day, he said, absolutely, there's no way I'm doing this again. And then last night with the birthday cake, it was, wow, this is so much fun, maybe we should do this again.
One more time.
Does this surprise you guys at all?
Two
No.
drinks will usually get that going.
Yeah.
And all his, 2 drinks and all his buddies in the bar usually take care of that.
Yeah. Well, and growing up with your dad being who he is, and we all know he's Mr. Goofy about it, and he jokes all the time, but he's an icon, okay? And whether he likes to admit it or not, I know. We don't want to encourage him, I know. But what was that like then, growing up in his shadow, so to speak? I mean, was it cool? Was he more than just your dad?
You know, I mean, I used to get pulled out of school to drive across country in a hot rod, you know? I mean, that's just the way it was. But I wouldn't change it. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted it any different.
But all of us had a good time doing it.
I think the first cross-country trip I did, I was 8. I think
Back of a rumble seat, pouring down rain.
Pouring rain.
Closing a rumble seat, just staying inside of it, you know.
Yeah, that was when
time
it
to get
snowed
out.
one time.
Really?
Yeah.
And you closed the rumble seat, which in essence meant you were in the trunk of the car.
I was on the floor of the rumble seat, and they closed it, and he said, bang on the seat if you need anything.
And you laid in there and rode across the country.
We were in Wyoming.
You realize they'd take you away from your dad
It's
now.
child abuse, yeah.
Yeah, it isn't. It was the greatest thing ever. But
And
now,
I went, okay,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
And probably sat in there and thought, what an adventure we're having.
With my cassette tape player, and you know, it was all good.
Cassette tape player. Well, and what about you, Roy? I mean, you grew up with, you know, your dad, champion speed shop and building all these famous cars and all these things. Was there pressure to be the car builder, or did you ever think you'd do something else?
No, there was no pressure. I just think that, you know, growing up, this is kind of what you did. I mean, I liked it. I loved it. Obviously, I kept doing it. It was never a pressure. It was never like, I want you to do this. It was never like that. It was just like hanging out with him and his pals.
Yeah.
In fact, him and his friends, I hang out with more than I do my own friends.
Right.
Because we have more in common. The people that we're here with, I mean, you see it, you've been with us, you drive your cars, you get to where you're going, and everybody's hanging out, BSing together, and that's the fun part.
Right.
It's all the people you do it with.